Hello and welcome to The Flow. There's an old saying which reads, "Misery loves company." With the proliferation of social media and its ability to lump people together, it appears that sociologists now realize the obvious. Miserable people encourage more misery. It feeds an addiction. Richard Seymour writes in his book, The Twittering Machine, that social media confronts us with a string of calamities: addiction, depression, fake news, trolls, online mobs, hateful man-baby subcultures. It is only exploiting and magnifying problems that were already socially pervasive. Yet, the contemplative, non-binary mindset, that contemplative person engaged in mature level spirituality, is aware of addiction, the addiction of misery, but can see through it and move beyond this toxic subculture of doom. Those who practice contemplation learn the ability to counter this social malady. Let's begin our time together by washing away the weak. I wash away the weak. I remove the stains brought about by the false self that seeks recognition to boost or inflate the ego. I cleanse the belief that my reality is the same as others and that my truth is the only truth. I wash to remove words spoken in haste which may have caused harm to others. I cleanse the times I might have been supportive, but allowed distractions to seize the moment. I cleanse the need to use binary thinking as a crutch to prevent growth, acceptance, and commitment. I bathe in the realization that God seeks the flourishing of all people, and that I am asked to do my part to make this a fervent reality. I dry my hands feeling God's simple and gentle encouragement, and that is good enough. In order to love God and neighbor, first learn to love a weed. Weeds have a way of reminding us that they must grow even when the odds are stacked against us. As you walk about during your week, notice how a weed can grow between cracks in the pavement. A weed does not discriminate its location. It accepts where it is, and then does its best to survive. In order to love God and neighbor, first learn to love a weed. The questions of why bad things happen to good people transmutes itself into some very different questions, no longer asking why something happened, but asking how we will respond, and what we intend to do now that it's happened. We have only to believe. And the more threatening and difficult reality appears, the more firmly and desperately we must believe. Then, little by little, we shall see the universal horror unbend, and then smile upon us, and then engulf us in its more than human arms. Now there are varieties of gifts, but the same Spirit. And there are varieties of services, but the same Lord. And there are varieties of activities, but it is the same God who activates all of them in everyone. To each is given the manifestation of the Spirit for the common good. To one is given through the Spirit the utterance of wisdom, to another the utterance of knowledge according to the same Spirit, to another faith by the same Spirit, to another gifts of healing by the one Spirit, to another the working of miracles, to another prophecy, to another the discernment of spirits, to another various kinds of tongues, to another the interpretation of tongues. All these are activated by the one and the same Spirit, who allots to each one individually, just as the Spirit chooses. What was the first thing you noticed in this passage? What person or people enabled empathy? Why did you feel connected to the person or group of people? Now there are varieties of gifts, but the same Spirit. And there are varieties of services, but the same Lord. And there are varieties of activities, but it is the same God who activates all of them in everyone. To each is given the manifestation of the Spirit for the common good. To one is given through the Spirit the utterance of wisdom, to another the utterance of knowledge according to the same Spirit, to another faith by the same Spirit, to another gifts of healing by the one Spirit, to another the working of miracles, to another prophecy, to another the discernment of spirits, to another various kinds of tongues, to another the interpretation of tongues. All these are activated by the one and the same Spirit, who allots to each one individually, just as the Spirit chooses. What questions came into view? What word or phrase spoke to you? What do you think the passage is trying to say? We all have spiritual gifts. That's a given. What is not always taught is the fact that each gift we have is attached to what Jesus calls the vine, which is in turn attached to one another and to the Trinity. How to manifest a spiritual gift is another matter. If a spiritual gift does not grow out of prayerfulness, the person with this gift will eventually burn out or quit out of disgust with people, circumstance, and seemingly overwhelming odds. But when a spiritual gift first flows from a sense of solidarity, we can realize that all we have to do is to support this position, and each step forward can come in small increments despite setbacks. First, name your spiritual gift. Then explore your sense of solidarity. And then move that love forward. All these are activated by the one and the same Spirit, who allots to each one individually, just as the Spirit chooses. In the busyness of this day, grant us a stillness of seeing, O God. In the conflicting voices of our hearts, grant us a calmness of hearing. Let our seeing and hearing, our words and our actions be rooted in the silent certainty of your presence. Let our passions for life and the longings for justice that stir within us be grounded in the experience of your stillness. Let our lives be rooted in the ground of your peace, O God. Let us be rooted in the depths of your peace. May the wisdom of God walk with us. May the love of Christ walk beside us. May the spirit of action guide our feet towards the promise of new joys, new opportunities, and meaningful experiences. Let us walk in love. Let us go in peace.